Hello student, a warm welcome in biology class. Today we are going to learn a chapter number 8 from paper 2nd, and the name of the chapter is the respiration and circulation. So first we will discuss about what is the meaning of the topic name. So respiration. The respiration is a process. It is a biochemical process which provides energy to all living organisms, and the circulation is a biological process through which the blood flows throughout the body. So this is the meaning of the name of the topic. Now we are going to discuss in detail about the respiration. So first of all, what is respiration? So, as I told you, the respiration provides the energy to the living organism. Now, the question is, what is the role of energy in a living organism? The energy helps to living organism to sustaining its life processes and its life. The life processes like the walking, then speaking, running, and etc. so on. So how the respiration is provide the energy to the living organism. Daily the living organism going to take the food inside, and that food provide energy to the living organism. Now how it is? There is the, in respiration, there is the breakdown of the complex organic compound into the simple organic compound to release the energy in the form of the ATP molecule, and that is the chemical energy. So in this way, during respiration, which is the biological process, there is the breakdown of complex organic material into the simple organic material to release a stepwise energy. Now we will see the overall equation of the respiration. See here carefully, a C6H12O6, that is complex organic compound, means nothing but the carbohydrate. It get oxidized to the 6CO2, 6H2O, and releases 38 ATP molecule, which is the form of the chemical energy. This energy is present into the usable form, and this energy, which is the potential energy, which is stored in the living organism's body, which is not in the usable form, means the living organism can use this energy only after conversion it into the chemical energy. So in this way, this is the respiration where the energy is released, through which the energy is provided to the living organism, which is required to every living organism. Now, what happens during the respiration? Energy is released, and also the gaseous exchange takes place between the organism and the environment. Now how it is? The organism take the O2 or oxygen from the environment, and it gives the CO2 to the plants or to the environment, which is useful for the process of photosynthesis to the plants. In this way, during respiration, gaseous exchange takes place. So students, I hope you understand this concept. Now we will move to the next concept of this topic, that is the organs of respiratory exchange. In this concept, we are going to take the information about what is meant by respiratory surface. A respiratory surface is a site of gaseous exchange where the gases is get exchanged. That site of gaseous exchange is called as a respiratory surface. So this respiratory surface shows some characteristic features. Now question is, what are that? The first is the surface area must be large. it must be the moist, it must be highly vesicular, and it is permeable to allow the gaseous exchange. So these are the three main characteristics of the respiratory surface area. Okay. Now we will discuss about the gaseous exchange in plants. Means here we are going to discuss about how the gaseous exchange takes place in plants, or how the oxygen diffuses into the plants. So first upon we will discuss about the what happens in terrestrial flowering plants during the gaseous exchange. So what happens? The flowering plants which are the terrestrial, they have the more air spaces in their the leaf and young stem. So O2, the diffused through the air spaces with the help of the stomata into the flowering plant stem or the leaf. After that, that air spaces of the flowering plant, the diffuses out the CO2 and water vapor. In this way, the O2 diffused into the flowering plants which are the terrestrial. Now, the question is what is stomata? This is the stomata. The stomata are the small pores present on the plant parts, especially they are present on the leaf, and this is the structure of the stomata. This is the stomata pore. So with the help of the stomata, they enters into the stem or the leaf of the terrestrial flowering plant and diffuses inside. Now, what happens about the aerated soil? Means in aerated soil, how the oxygen is get diffused. So what happens? The oxygen is dissolved in water which is present around the root. So these are the roots which are the underground, and the water present around this root. In this water, the oxygen is get the dissolved and enters into the root tissue. In this way, in aerated soil, the oxygen diffuses into the root tissue. The third concept is what happens in woody flowering plants. So what happens? The bark of the woody flowering plant is the impiverous. It is with a small pores or the small openings, and that openings are called as the lenticel. So the oxygen diffuses in woody flowering plants bark through this lenticel. In this way, the gaseous exchange takes place in plants with the help of the stomata and with the help of this lenticel. So you must remember, that is, in plants the gaseous exchange surface area is the stomata and the lenticel. So this is about how the gaseous exchange takes place in plants. I also hope you understand this concept. You remember, that is, the which part of the plant they acts as a respiratory surface. Okay. Now we will move to the next part, that is the respiration in animals. So what happened? The various types of the animals shows a different types of the respiratory surfaces or respiratory organs. Actually, that is depends upon the complexity of the organization of that animals and the surrounding medium in which they live. So according to these conditions, they show the respiratory surface area. For example, the animals are like the aquatic animals. Some animals are the terrestrial animals. Some animals are the semi-aquatic animals. So they show the different types of the respiratory surface area. Now let's say the one example, that is the aquatic animals like the protista, the sponges and coelenterate. shows the surface area or shows the respiratory surface area or the respiratory organs as the plasma membrane. The terrestrial insect shows the respiratory organ as the spiracle or tracheal tubes. Then the fishes show the respiratory surface area or the surface organ as the internal gills. Then the reptiles, birds and mammals show the respiratory surface area as the lungs, and the turtle, which is the present in the water, it shows the respiratory surface area as the cloaca. So you can understand in this way, the depending upon the complexity of the organization and the surrounding in which they live, they show or the animals show the different types of the respiratory area. Now we will learn about the human respiratory system. This is the major part or the major concept of the today's lecture. So the question is, what brings human respiratory system? So it brings inspiration, expiration and exchange of the gases in the lungs. So these three things brings the respiratory system. Now we will discuss in a detail about the human respiratory system. So see here carefully. This is a diagram showing a respiratory organs of the respiratory system. So first upon we will discuss in a detail the human respiratory system. So human respiratory system is divisible or divided into the two parts, that are the upper respiratory system and the lower respiratory system. So as you know that every system is made up by some organs. So likewise that here the human respiratory system is also made up by some organs. Some of them are of the upper respiratory system and some of them are the lower respiratory system. Now let's see which are that part. The upper respiratory system is made up by the nostril, nasal cavities, internal layers, nasopharynx, nose and the throat. And the lower respiratory system is made up by the larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles and the lungs. These are the organs of lower respiratory system. Let's see the organs in this diagram. Here see carefully. This is the diagram of human respiratory system, and here I am showing you that is a part of the upper respiratory system of the human. This is the nose, this is the nasal cavity, then this is the throat, then these are the internal layers and these are the pharynx. These are the parts of the upper respiratory system. So see again the parts of the upper respiratory system. This is the nose, these are the nostril, these are the nasal cavities, these are the internal layers, then this is the nasopharynx and the throat. These are the parts of the upper respiratory system. Now see here, these are the parts of the lower respiratory system, that are the here the at first pharynx, then this is the larynx, then these are the trachea, this is the bronchi, bronchioles and these are the lungs. So these are the part of the lower respiratory system. Let's see again the parts of the lower respiratory system. See here carefully. This is the pharynx. This is the pharynx and this one is the larynx. Then the trachea, then bronchi and a pair of lungs. These are the part of the lower respiratory system. Now we are going to learn in more detail about these parts of the upper respiratory system and the lower respiratory system. Okay. So first of all we will discuss about the upper respiratory system organs. In that first, the nose. This is the nose. A slit opening of the nose is called as the nostril. This nostril gives the entry to the air inside the nasal cavity. So in this way, with the help of the nostril, the air enters into the nasal cavity, and this nasal cavity again get divided into the two chamber, that is the chamber that are the right nasal chamber and the left nasal chamber. Okay, so you can understand the nose slit like opening is called as the nostril. Okay, and through that nostril the air enters inside the nasal cavities. Okay, so further nasal cavity get divided into the two chamber, that are the right chamber and the left chamber. Okay, now further, this right chamber and the left chamber of the nasal cavity, again the each chamber is get divided into the three parts, namely vestibule, respiratory part or the conditionary part, and olfactory chamber or the sensory chamber. Okay, now that are the here. Okay, that are the three parts of the each nasal chamber, the namely the vestibule, then conditionary part and the olfactory chamber. Okay, now vestibule is a proximal part of this nasal cavity, through which the air enter, and that part is the filtered the air and trap the dust particles which is the enter into the nasal cavity through the inhaled air. The respiratory part, which is the middle portion, which is with the thin wall and highly vascular, it makes air the moist and the warm. And the last, which is the uppermost part of this nasal cavity, which is the olfactory chamber or the also called as sensory chamber, which is the lined by a sensory epithelium or olfactory epithelium, and it is related with the sense of smell. So by this you can understand we have a sense of smell due to this chamber, which is called as the sensory chamber or the olfactory chamber, which is the uppermost part of this nasal cavity or the nasal chamber. Okay. Next we will discuss about the pharynx. A pharynx shows a three region. Here the near to the nasal cavity, nasopharynx, then the oropharynx, which is present in between region or middle region, which region is present near to the mouth cavity, and the laryngopharynx, which is the continuous below. Okay, so in between the nasopharynx and the oropharynx, a palate bone is the present, and the laryngopharynx is continuous below. The most important point is here. In pharynx region, there is a set of lymphoid organs are present, and that are called as a tonsil. Okay, so tonsils are our lymphoid organ which gives us a immunity, which provides the human beings a immunity, and that lymphoid organs tonsils are present in the pharynx region. Okay, now we will discuss about the larynx. The larynx. Okay, So larynx is called as the voice box also. It contains the vocal cords because it is capable to produce the sound. Means for our sound producing, the responsible organ of the respiratory organ is the larynx. Now this larynx is internally lined by the cartilage bone and it is held by a muscles. This larynx is get opens into this laryngopharynx where it is called as the glottis, and this glottis is guarded by a structure that is called as the epiglottis. Okay. So what I am telling you, that is the larynx is the open into the laryngopharynx where it is the guarded by the opening, or that opening is called as the glottis, and again this glottis is the guarded by a structure and that structure is called as the epiglottis. Now see what is the role of the epiglottis here. The epiglottis prevent the entry of the food into the trachea or into the lungs because it is a common passage. This is here is the oropharynx is a common passage for the food and air, and here the epiglottis prevent the entry of the food or the entry of the suspended particle present in the dust into this trachea or into this respiratory system. So in this way the larynx is a hollow, then tubular structure. So the larynx is called as also the voice box. So you remember, that is the larynx is capable to producing sound. Why? So question is why the larynx is called as the voice box. The first answer is it have the vocal cords, a pair of the vocal cords it have. Then it produces the voice with the help of the air passage which is the present between the vocal cords and the lip, then teeth and the nasal cavity. So a passage which is the present in between the vocal cords and the teeth, then nasal cavities and the lip, with the modulation it created the voice. Okay. So this is about the larynx. Now we will discuss about the trachea. The trachea is also called as windpipe. It is about 10 to 12 centimeter in length. It is present in the neck region in front of esophagus, and it is also internally supported by the half C-shaped cartilage bone that are the 60 to 20 in number, and also it is internally lined by the ciliated epithelium and mucous gland which help to trap the suspended dust particle. So in this way the trachea plays its role in a respiration. Okay. So this is about the trachea. Now we will discuss about the bronchi. Each bronchi is get divided into the secondary and tertiary. So how it is here? The trachea divided into the primary bronchi and the secondary bronchi and the tertiary bronchi. Here also the trachea divided into the left primary bronchi. Further, that left primary bronchi get divided into the primary, secondary and tertiary bronchi, and afterward it terminates into the grape like the bunch of the cell that are called as the alveoli, which provided the surface area for the respiration. So in this way we see here about the bronchi and the bronchioles. Okay. So You have to remember here a gray bunch-like structure which terminates of the bronchioles is called as the alveoli. Okay. Now the last, the organ of the lower respiratory system, that is the lung. So you know that is human have a pair of lungs, and that are the human have a pair of lungs. How it is here? That is this is the left lung and the right lung. These lungs are covered by a double membrane which is called as the pleural membrane, and in between these two pleural membrane the one fluid is present, that is called as the pleural fluid. The outer pleural membrane is called as a parietal membrane, and inner the pleural membrane of the lung is called as the visceral membrane. The one more thing is the right lung is the larger. It is divided into the 3 lobes, and the left lung is the smaller and it is divided into the 2 lobes. So this is about the lungs, and I hope all of you understand this concept. Thank you.